Hello dear audience of Sakura Book Podcast. Today we are with you with the 5th part of Sakura's story. Please attention guys, this book is only for teenagers and adults, so, please dears, be careful in this regard. Well, you friends, let's get to the story. Hear what is going to happen. Over the years, Sakura underwent the harshest training under the master's watch. She learned the art of focus and mental control, so much so that even in the middle of emotional storms, she could maintain stillness. Her physical and spiritual exercises included challenges like balancing on cliff edges, meditating in the cold mountain nights, and confronting her deepest fears. Gradually, Sakura changed. The power that was once volatile had become an instrument of protection and aid, though still unstable. She had transformed from a determined girl into a calm, sharp-witted warrior. What made her stand out most was not her strength, but the depth of her serenity. Sakura was now like the edge of a honed blade, sharp and dangerous, beautiful yet ruthless. She held within her a force that resembled a sword forged through years of relentless practice. Her power gave her the ability to overcome any obstacle, but she knew well that a single misstep could cause harm to herself, or to others. Like a sword that rests quietly in its sheath, Sakura was learning to wield her strength only when truly needed. In her eyes glimmered a fusion of calm and vigilance, for she was now locked in an endless battle not just with enemies, but with herself. The master kept his gaze fixed on Sakura and said, "A legendary sword carries not just immense power, but the spirit and legacy of our warriors. To protect it from those who would abuse it, I chose long ago to hide it, in a distant place." He pointed to a map laid out on the table. A tall mountain was marked beyond a dense forest. The master continued, "Among the mountains lies a small cave where the legendary sword is kept. The path is not easy, and many dangers await you. But I trust you, Sakura. This mission is yours, to prove that you are now worthy of bearing this responsibility." Sakura studied the map carefully and nodded. "Master, I will return the sword to you with honor. Nothing will stop me." The master smiled and added, "Remember, the true power of this sword is not in its blade, but in the heart of the one who holds it. This journey is not only a test of your abilities, but a trial for your spirit." Sakura locked eyes with the master. Her gaze was steady, filled with confidence and conviction. "I'll go find that sword. I promise, I won't disappoint you." The master nodded, his voice calm but resolute. "If you can bring that sword back, you'll prove not just physical strength, but spiritual resilience and the ability to choose wisely in hard moments. Only then will I believe you are truly ready for battle." A silence hung in the air, like the breath before the leap. This was more than a journey. It was a trial of body, mind, and soul. Sakura packed her satchel with care. Some food, a flask of water, the map her master had given her, and a small lantern to light the dark path ahead. She pulled down the rim of her straw hat and stared into the horizon. A cool breeze played with her hair, as though the forest itself was calling her toward the adventure. With steady steps, she set off. The path at first was simple, a narrow trail winding through the trees. The sounds of birds and the soft crunch of leaves beneath her feet offered a fleeting peace. But Sakura knew this calm was temporary. With every step, she drew closer to the mountain, and the trials that waited for her there. As she moved forward, the sun climbed higher into the sky, and the shadows slowly began to fade. Her mind was full of thoughts, memories of her master's teachings, and the weight of the responsibility she now carried. Yet she remembered one thing her master always said, the journey matters just as much as the goal. And now, she felt the truth deeply within her. Sakura stepped gently out of the forest. The soft sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting dancing shadows on the ground beneath her feet. Each step brought her closer to the mountain where legend claimed her master's sword lay hidden. As she passed through the woods, the rustling of leaves and the occasional sharp gaze of an unseen creature accompanied her. Suddenly, from a distance, a majestic deer appeared among the trees. Its eyes were calm and alert, quietly observing Sakura's movement. For a moment, it paused, then, like a shadow, melted into the forest. Sakura continued forward without hesitation. When she reached the base of the mountain, the path grew steeper and more challenging. The rocks shimmered beneath the sunlight, and a cool wind blew from the summit. But she was only halfway up when 3 men appeared, faces cruel and blades drawn, blocking her way. One of them sneered, "Hey there, miss. Welcome to our domain. Did you know crossing here without our permission is forbidden?" Sakura, without the slightest hint of hesitation, simply said, "Step aside. Or I'll be forced to answer you properly." Another bandit chuckled with condescension, "Oh. And where do you think you're going, pretty lady? This isn't a playground. Hand over everything you've got, right now, or you'll be dealing with us." Suddenly, a crack of thunder split the air. Sakura's sword flashed out, then back into its sheath, so fast, no one even registered the motion. One of the men screamed in agony. He collapsed to the ground, his hand severed. The 2 remaining bandits stared at her, paralyzed by fear. Sakura, cloaked in unshakable calm, said, "So, will you step aside now, or are you looking for more trouble?" Without a word, they lowered their blades and moved out of her path, one of them whispering under his breath, "This woman, she's not human." Sakura, unfazed by their stares, continued toward the summit. A cool mountain breeze wrapped around her, and a quiet sense of peace settled over her like a promise. Sakura climbed the winding mountain path. With every step, sharp, cold wind whipped across her face. She reached a hidden cave nestled into the mountain's side, as though fate had led her there. At the mouth of the cave, a legendary sword stood upright in the ground, just like the stories she had heard. Her eyes locked onto the blade's gleam. But just as she took a step toward it, a strange, heavy rustling echoed from within the cave. A massive serpent slithered out of the darkness, its golden scales shimmering, its crimson eyes locked onto Sakura. The beast moved with dreadful grace, its low growl rumbling through the ground. Its forked tongue flickered like fire, and its gaze was sharp and purposeful. It coiled into rings, blocking the path, ready to strike. Without hesitation, Sakura drew her sword. Thunder cracked through the air. She swung, but the serpent's scales sparked with every blow, completely unscathed. She stood calmly, controlling her breath, ready for a battle that would test not just her strength, but her will and her mastery. Then, she made a choice, to reach the legendary sword, believing it might be her key to defeating the serpent. She sprinted toward it, but the serpent, impossibly fast and aware, struck in a flash. Its massive body coiled around her, its golden scales pressing against her, pinning her to the ground. Sakura's breaths grew short, her arms weak, but still struggling. The serpent's glowing eyes pulsed with malice, ready to finish her. But just as the darkness was closing in, her fingers brushed the hilt of the legendary sword. The moment they touched, a surge of magic burst forth. The sword lit up with a mystical glow. Darkness surrounded Sakura, and shifted into shadow. The serpent froze, paralyzed by the sword's energy. With the last of her strength, Sakura struck. The sound of slicing coils echoed through the cave, and the massive creature shattered, its body falling into glimmering pieces. Sakura, breathing heavily and filled with release, let the sword drop. She returned to herself, slowly rising to her feet. She glanced at her surroundings, and whispered, "This is only the beginning." Standing tall, Sakura gazed at the magical sword now in her possession. Its power radiated infinitely, but she knew full well, with great power came great responsibility. She murmured to herself, "This sword is for vital moments only." A final card, not one to be played carelessly. She firmly sheathed the sword and began her journey back to her master's house. The mountain air was cold, calming, and sunlight breaking through the clouds felt like a sign, the end of one challenge, and the beginning of a new chapter. As she descended the mountain and re-entered the forest, a familiar sensation washed over her. The rustling of leaves beneath her steps, the occasional gaze from the trees, all reminders of the hardships she had endured to arrive here. But this time, she was no longer the same Sakura. Through winding trails and fading shadows, her master's house appeared in the distance. A gentle smoke rose from the chimney, as if her master already knew she had returned. With a quiet smile and memories swirling in her thoughts, Sakura quickened her steps. Her master appeared with a calming cup of tea, and began to recount the tale of the sword. "The blade now in your possession once belonged to a wealthy family, crafted by a master blacksmith is a true work of art. It carries a mysterious and honorable past. The materials used were of unmatched quality, but what truly gave it power was the Japanese incantation woven into its forging. A whisper of magic, an oath, maybe. Courage, protection, perhaps even a mission." He continued, "This sword is not just a weapon, but a symbol of will, artistry, and spirit. It once played a crucial role in a historic battle, one that altered the course of history. Wielded by a legendary warrior, it became an emblem of power and purpose. Not just defeating enemies, but birthing legends passed down for generations. After the war ended, the sword was hidden from everyone's reach. It was said that due to its immense power, a decision was made to place it in a remote location, a place where only those who truly understood its meaning and value could find it. That place was the Mountain of Mystery. And I was the one who placed it there." Sakura paused. She glanced at the tea in her hand, then looked into her master's eyes. Her voice still carried traces of excitement and unease as she said, "Master, when I touched the sword, I can't describe it. It felt like my whole body was flooded with something strange, a force I didn't know I possessed. The golden serpent had wrapped around me, I was slipping, ready to give in. I felt its weight crushing against my bones. But in that moment, the sword began to glow in my hand. It awakened the darkness inside me. And after that, I realized, I can use it as a hidden card in battles. All the power that serpent had, it was gone. I raised the blade, and with one strike, its giant body was torn apart." Sakura paused again, took a deep breath, then added, "But master, that moment wasn't just victory. I felt like the sword expects something of me. A great responsibility, one I still don't fully understand. I know I must learn more, and become stronger, to be truly worthy of this power." Then she tied her father's headband around the legendary sword. Dear friends, I must say that the first chapter of Sakura's book is over, but the story is continue and I intend to be with us until the last chapter. Well, let me to say a little about next chapter. In the next part, those who got on the way to Sakura will return to their residence. And the story of Sakura reaches the others. Wait for the next episode in the second chapter, because there are so many battles that are going to happen. Thank you all dear friends, I hope you have a good day or night wherever you are in the world. Like, subscribe and share your channel. Bye. By the way, back with another podcast. Goodbye guys.